Some of them pastors need to quit it for real. Like them niggas will be on TV 4:30 in the morning. Be like, nigga, what the hell? You got to understand, you see the law. Let's turn to page 33, Corinthians 33:45, and it'll tell you, you'll see the law. Like, nigga, it is a reason why you on the TV at 4 in the morning. You ain't shit.
Can the church say amen? Can the church say amen? You told me you were at church last night, rehearsing with the choir. Girl, you're such a liar. I found out you were with the preacher from his head deep. He got a picture y'all at the motel, laying up there freaking. He told me why you like to always sit on the front pew, so you can sit wide for that preacher and show him what you done bought brand new. Always in a hurry to get to prayer meet. Girl, you and that preacher, y'all been cheating. All through service, waving your hand, shouting hallelujah. I thought you had the spirit, but you were thinking about how he was gonna sock it to you. If you know what I'm talking about, let me hear you say, amen, amen. If the preacher tried to talk to your young daughter, say, amen, amen. If the deacon ever tried to pull your wife, say, amen, amen. If the preacher took your money and bought a Rolls Royce, say, amen, amen. Oh, yeah.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Real Talk Radio Show, and I am your host, Mr. Craig D. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in on today's show. We're going to have a good time. We're going to talk about a very controversial topic today. We're going to talk about the black church. We're going to talk about what's become of the black church. You know, I recently read an article written by Dr. Glaude Jr. And Dr. Glaude has found himself caught in controversy because of this article. Now, Dr. Glaude is a professor of religion, and he's also the chair for the Center for African American Studies at Princeton University. But Dr. Glaude wrote an article entitled, "The Black Church is Dead." The black church is dead. And Dr. Glaude has received criticism from all over the place. Needless to say, a lot of people don't agree with that. And personally, I don't agree with it either. I don't agree that the black church is dead. But I will say that the black church is in critical condition. It's on life support. It may not necessarily be dead, but the black church is on life support, in my opinion. So what happened? What happened to make Dr. Glaude declare the benediction over the black church? Because for Dr. Glaude to say that the black church is dead, we have to assume that at one point the black church had to be alive. It had to be a living, breathing, vibrant entity. Right? I mean, I guess that's right. Because, yeah, he basically said the black church is dead. He basically declared the benediction over the quote-unquote black church. So, in order for it to be dead now, we have to assume at one point it had to be alive. So what happened? What made Dr. Glaude declare the benediction over the black church? Well, in his article, Dr. Glaude talks about three things. First, he talks about black churches have always been complicated spaces. You know, tradition teaches us that black churches have always been prophetic and progressive institutions. But according to Dr. Glaude, the sad reality is that black churches have always been quite conservative. So in essence, the black church now is trying to be something that it wasn't founded upon. You know, the black church now seems to be gravitating more toward the God of materialism and the prosperity ministries. And that's just not what the black church has always been. So, in other words, the black church is trying to be something that it's not now. That's the first thing. The second thing is that he says African American communities are much more differentiated. And he's talking about how a huge number of black people are attending non-denominational churches now. Churches like Joel Osteen's church or Rick Warren's church. You know, churches with a multicultural dimension to them. So we aren't all attending the historically black church. We're starting to branch out a little bit. So that's somehow contributing to the black church being dead. And lastly, Dr. Glaude talks about the routinization of prophetic witness, of black prophetic witness. And he's talking about how the black church has just fallen into a routine. That the black church really isn't dealing with the issues that we face in 2010. Rather, the black church is constantly looking backwards and reminding itself or reminding ourselves of what we used to be. In other words, you know, we're constantly here, well, without the black church, we wouldn't have made it. Or the black church has always done this, or the black church has always been our rock. And all that's fine and good, but the issues that we face in 2010 are different from the issues that Granny and them faced in 1920. I mean, it's a whole nother set of issues. And the church, according to Dr. Glaude, doesn't seem to want to deal with those issues. I mean, teen pregnancy, poverty, high school dropout rates, unemployment, healthcare. I mean, the church really isn't taking a stance on the issues that we face today because we're too busy looking backwards and reminding ourselves of what the church used to be. Well, times have changed, according to Dr. Glaude. And I agree with that. I certainly agree with that. So those are the things that Dr. Glaude is saying that is contributing to the death or has contributed to the death of the black church. Again, some of it I agree with and some of it I don't. Now, that was a quick synopsis. Okay, so if you guys want to read the whole article, you can Google it or you can go to my website, therealtalkradioshow.podbean.com, and you can click on the link. I'm going to put a link up for the article on my site, so you can go there and click on the link. So, again, I agree with some of what Dr. Glaude says, and then some of it, you know, I don't. But one of the things I want to talk about today is how, in my opinion, the church is being geared more toward entertainment. As Dr. Glaude said, rather than deal with the issues that we face in 2010, most churches seem to be quite content just entertaining the parishioners. You remember a few years ago, there was an email going around about a church in somewhere in Georgia, where every year around November, they would literally have a dance off in the church. I'm talking about on Sunday morning service. Now, I'm not talking about church dancing. I'm talking about club dancing in the church. Now, what I want to do right now is play you the clip of what's going on at this particular church. Now, this is just one church, okay? But I'm sure this is not the only church. This is just one that I happen to stumble across. I don't know if this is wrong or I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to feel about it. But let me set it up for you. Now, there are 4 generations in this church. According to the pastor, there are 4 generations. And each generation was to have worn a particular color. Like my grandmother's generation should have worn one color. My mom's generation wore one color. My generation wore one color. And then the generation behind us wears another color. Now, what would happen next was that they would play music that was popular for that particular generation. Okay? And when the music started playing, you were to stand up and start dancing like you danced back when you were in the club or back in your heyday. Now, I'm not making this up, and maybe I didn't set it up perfectly, but I'm going to play the clip, and I want you guys to tell me what you think, okay? Here's the clip.
Now, one thing that we like to do every church anniversary is that our church is a multi-generational church. One of the challenges that the 21st century is having is that often churches are either all traditional or all contemporary.
Now, I agree with that.
It's very difficult for generations to coexist because we have so many different